Meet Rodrigo Sanchez and Gabriela Quintero, two Mexicans that one day made a decision that changed their lives forever.
Duo from Mexico. They can be considered the dynamic duo of acoustic guitar.
Our next guests are an acclaimed guitar duo from Mexico City.
In the metal community, people come, they want to see the riffs.
Anyway, look, my next guest met in Mexico City, but now they live in Dublin, so that's good.
We also have an extraordinary group that originates from Mexico City, Rodrigo and Gabriela.
Well, for starters, just two people can play such an immense, huge sounding form of music.
But I was fascinated with their fairy tale story, because this is like a fairy tale.
They're wonderful performers. They're both extraordinary musicians.
It's very hard to do a guitar technique that is just not being done.
Porque la gente necesita esto, necesita que les des emociones.
I actually wanted to be a drummer before a guitarist.
And we just did maybe 4 years trying to become famous.
At some point, I and myself, we both were sick of trying to make it.
We said, this is it, let's go. Where, we don't know.
When we decided to go to Europe, we gave ourselves 2 rules. The first one was not to do anything else but playing music. And the second one, and very important, was not to go back. One day, we were walking in Grafton Street, and we saw this guy playing the guitar, busking.
So for us, it was, that's it, that's what we need to do. There's no other option.
I was calling through a festival way.
Probably the day I moved back, I probably walked on Grafton Street and I couldn't get through. There was a crowd, and then next minute, it was like 2 exotic-looking people, 2 Mexicans there, and they really could rock and all that.
So I'd like to welcome up to the stage the director Alejandro Franco. And we have a special added attraction here, live from Mexico City. Or, no, not live, because you'd be in Mexico City if you were live from Mexico City. But Ruben Marquez, who is the cinematographer.
Thank you. Hello, good morning or afternoon, whatever. It's so nice to see you here, and thanks a lot for attending. I hope you enjoy it. It was a hell of a project for us. It was a very personal thing. I'm a music journalist in Mexico, and I do some stuff for national radio and also for Latin America, a lot of contents. And then this happened without any notice. At the beginning, we weren't expecting or we weren't planning anything. And then suddenly we were like, okay, we are doing this documentary since 2 or 3, and then 4 years ago. It took 4 years and a couple of months to develop the entire thing that you saw today. So I hope you like it or enjoy it or feel a little bit inspired about the story of these amazing musicians from my city, from Mexico City.
Have you guys got any questions? I would be disappointed if you didn't have any questions. Give them a couple of seconds.
They're thinking. How old are you? There's a question.
For some of the flashbacks or scenes from the past, do you have to redo some of those scenes with Rodrigo and Gabriela? Reenact them?
For the past, did you have to redo the scenes?
Yeah, in Ireland, there are a couple of scenes that we need to redo, like when they are busking for the first time. So we made it like a little bit similar to the original photograph that we have, that they are sitting, playing for the first time with this other Mexican busker. So I think that's it. The other parts that you saw, even when they are playing thrash metal in a full way in the street. There's like a forest around Mexico City that is called Ajusco. It's in the south of the city. And a lot of bands used to record and produce their videos there because of the forest and the sceneries. So they went there, and Ruben did a hell of a job searching and finding material. And we realized that we have like real footage from each part of the story. And a lot of that material, Rodrigo and Gabriela and their families provided to us, and a lot of them was a research mostly from Ruben. Do you like the part when they are like headbanging?
Yes.
Yes? Where are Rodrigo and Gabriela right now? I think they're about to land here. They're coming to a special concert today, and they're traveling. They are touring all around the world because they just released a new album on April, and they just did their 5th Glastonbury Festival. They play in the main stage before Arcade Fire. And they are doing a lot of cities here in the States. They just play again in Red Rocks in Colorado.
In Morrison, Colorado. My last name is Morrison.
Okay, exactly, sorry. Morrison, Colorado. And then they are doing Wembley Arena next year at London. Also, they have a lot of dates in the middle. Today is a special one with Rob Trujillo, with Shankar that are in the movie, and more musicians because of the movie that Robert Trujillo produced. And they are living partly in Ixtapa, the beach, and also in Barcelona. Yes?
How many years did it take to make the documentary?
It took 4. A little bit more than 4, and
I'm sorry, I told you to shut yours off.
Who is that? That's Rodrigo, actually. Nah. It's a surprise. It took 4. We didn't realize that we were doing the movie the first 2 years. For me, it was only a thing for television or something like, okay, we're gonna have some interviews, we're gonna tell the story, and then let's put all together in a TV documentary, and that's it. And 2 years after, we saw each other in South by Southwest in Austin, and I was having a word with Chris, one of their managers that also appears in the movie, and Chris told me, like, you know what, I think you have enough footage and structure to develop a proper movie. So we were like, yeah, why not? Let's try it. But then it started like from scratch because we needed to have them in a much better way in the key interviews. We did the key interviews, the main ones, with them 3 times until we felt like we have enough material to make it happen. And we have a version that you just saw that is in English, and we have another version for Mexico, Spain, and the rest of Latin America only in Spanish. So my parts are in Spanish, and their parts, their interviews are also in Spanish. Of course, Rob Trujillo, Peter Gabriel, etc. are in English, but the main thing, we have 2 versions of that. It's crazy. It's not very common to have a movie in 2 languages, because it's not it's not dubbed or it's not there is no trick. It's 2 movies with the same story. So that's why also it took so long.
That brings up a question for me. May I ask a question?
Go ahead.
You know, because of that oddness of doing that also, but the structure of this as a documentary is not normally what a documentary structure is. Did you take any inspiration from any particular documentary director, or how did you come about with this kind of very interesting structure?
Well, we took, Ruben and I, a lot of examples from different documentaries and also directors that we loved. And we also tried to have a structure based on the ways or the possibilities that you have to tell the same story. I mean, for us, the first thing was to take the decision about which story we wanted to tell, because it was like the personal story or the professional one, or even as Mexicans, of course, the Mexican side, like they are there and this is Mexico. And then we decided to tell the story that we always tell to our friends in the same way, that is pretty much based on the time, on the regular way of the things happened. So I remember when I went to lunch with some friends or to have a coffee or something, and they were like, hey, tell me the story about what you are doing with the documentary. What's behind Rodrigo and Gabriela? And I always tell the story this way. So at the end, we decided, like, let's do it this and this, and of course we use some structures from another documentaries that we love, and there are plenty of. We started to see a lot of material and to analyze which could be the best way to make it happen. We did a lot of tests. We had some screenings. Actually, we did a couple of screenings in a university in Mexico, Universidad Iberoamericana. We had a lot of feedback from students, from teachers, etc., to try to know if we were telling the story in the proper way that we were looking for. Yeah.
Was Rodrigo and Gabriela ever hard to work with?
Ever hard? I mean, yes. Because, you know, it's like they were very worried about not to be like some kind of heroes. Like, they were like, you know, we didn't do what we did based on someone's expectations. We did what we needed to do at the time we needed to do. So they were very worried about the personal side, because for them it was like, okay, you're gonna be around and you're gonna talk with our families and you will have everything recorded and you will decide to tell the story. So it's very difficult for any person to let someone else to tell your story and to be involved with your family, your friends, your work, your everyday. So it was a little bit hard, but I think as any other project like this, I think there are two ways. One, the way that is like you get hired by the artist as a director or producer, and they told you what to do and what to say and what is the final product. And then there's the other way that is ours, that they let us do whatever we wanted to do, but you need to have a conversation and you need to agree in a lot of things, because I mean it's their story, and I try to be very respectful with that.
Two things. First of all, I want to compliment you on the very unique style of that movie. Just excellent. I actually do make films myself sometimes. But the second thing is I noticed that they apparently took part in the score of Pirates of the Caribbean. I think it was on Stranger Tides, the show. But have they appeared in any other forms of popular media that I might have heard of?
Pussy with Boots. They did. I mean, their songs have been in a lot of products for TV. Breaking Bad, at least 2 chapters. And the other one, I mean, Pussy with Boots, and that's it. How do you say that? Pussy with boots. This is the things that I am supposed to say here. That's the name of the movie. El gato con botas. Much better. What I do for living? Okay, well, I'm a music journalist. I have a couple of radio shows in Mexico, and I also produce a TV show that is called Sesiones. Did you saw Damon Rice singing in a TV show? That's a TV show. And at the beginning, I appear without the bird presenting them. So it's a TV show very similar very similar to Austin City Limits. I don't know if you know the TV show from PBS, or to Jules Holland. It's like the TV show where you have the host and he's presenting bands. I produce the show through my company and sell it to different networks in Mexico and Latin America. And we just did a new season that it appears to be worldwide. We're gonna have distribution in a lot of countries, and it's totally in English. And then we invited them because we record a season per year. So we were like, who's gonna come to Mexico very soon? And we realized like, Rodrigo, Gabriela. And I was like, I have read a lot of them in New Musical Express, in the UK, or Q Magazine, or Spin Magazine, or whatever, even Pitchfork, etc. So I was like, yeah, let's invite them, why not? But it was, and that's very irresponsible from me as a music journalist, it was until the day that we record them that I realized that they are Mexicans. For me, it was like, yeah, I think they're from Brazil or from Spain, I don't know. And suddenly it was like, okay, they are Mexicans. Wow, I don't want to know more about the story because I want them to. I want to ask them in the interview and know the story because I mean from them. And we were in the interview. They told me the story, and then I was like, wow, I'm totally surprised. Welcome to the show. They were very happy to be in the show. Rodrigo got to know the show like a couple of years before, etc. And then I broke up with a ex-girlfriend. And I went to the beach because it was February 14th. And my mom gave us like like a gift for St. Valentine's Day. Like, yeah, you should go to the beach together. And I was like, oh, I don't want to tell my mom that we just broke up and we have the gift. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go by my own to Ixtapa, to the beach. So I went to Ixtapa and I tweet like, hey, Ixtapa, the sun, it will be much better tomorrow, you know, like try and survive. And suddenly, Rodrigo wrote me back, sent me a direct message, like, hey, are you in Ixtapa? Yeah, we live in Ixtapa. What are you up to? I was like, no, nothing. I'm all by my own. So he was like, okay, let's have some dinner. Okay, great. So they passed, they went for me to the hotel and took me to the pizzeria, the pizza place. And we were there, and they started to explain me more details of their early days in Ixtapa. Like, we used to play here. The hotel when we did our first things is just there, etc. And then they told me, like, we're gonna play in Glastonbury in the 40th anniversary. I was like, really? I'm kind of doing a TV documentary about Glastonbury. It would be great if we can meet there and I can interview you. And they were like, yeah, of course, but first you should come to New York to the Radio City Music Hall to see us in a proper show. So I went to New York as I started dating with my wife. Like very, I mean, didn't wait too much between the two relations. And then I went to, sorry, it's the truth. I went to New York because my wife was living in New York. So we went to see them to the Radio City Music Hall. So the footage that you can see of the Radio City Music Hall is from that night. It is real. I was with a small camera and I was like, oh wow, sold out, let me take this. And didn't have any clue about what was about to happen a few years later. So then we got some lunch at the other day, and they told me like, you should come to Glastonbury, but first to Belgium and France. So I went with them to Belgium and France. I'm pretty sure that Rodrigo did that because he was looking for someone to do the documentary, maybe, because he was like, yeah, you should come. And of course, before Glastonbury, as I said in the movie, in France, I saw these crazy people that you saw, and I was like, no, what am I doing with a Glastonbury documentary? This must be about them. So that's how it started, from scratch.
But I think your question, well, that was a great answer. I think you did great. Your question was sort of what got you into being a music critic, a music journalist?
I mean, first of all, radio. I am a radio person. I love the format, and I enjoy a lot radio, and then music in general. I'm a huge music lover, and I love to bring music to a lot of people. You know, like, this is good, you should hear it, or you should know the story. So for me, it's only that. It's like when you discover something that you want to share, it's exactly that. Sorry about the long answer then. Lost in translation.
It's inspirational. The girlfriend part is inspirational.
Yeah. Anyone else? Well, did you like it?
Wait a minute.
Oh, yes.
What's the relationship between Gabriela and Rodrigo?
It's always that question. It's something that I prefer to let, to the imagination of the audience. It's, first of all, a lot of friendship relation, because they have an amazing project together. And second, it's like when you're a musician and you have that connection, I think is more than anything else. Doesn't matter if you are or you were a couple or brothers or cousins, whatever. I think that's bigger, because you are doing something, and they are very aware of that. They always talk about, like, this cannot be us. And I love that from them, because they have these thoughts around what they do, and they are, like, very conscious about the thing that sometimes they're in a studio alone playing, and something happens, and they record that, and they put it in an album, and then they go to France, and suddenly a lot of people know the song and sing the song, even they don't have any lyrics. So for them, it's not like, oh, we are the creators, the masters of the universe. They are like, no, it cannot be us. It's maybe a bunch of energy or something bigger that comes through us and make us do this music together. So I think that's the long answer for I prefer not to say exactly that side of the story, but it's because I think that's also magical, I'm a huge fan of the White Stripes. And it's like, you don't want to know the true story. I already knew that true story, and I wish I hadn't. Much better.
Well, thank you all, and have a safe trip back.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Alejandro.
Gracias.